everybody for joining us today. It's really exciting.
Alrighty, we are officially recording. So welcome everyone to our computer science learning event for January 25th. And we're so excited to have a special guest with us today. So let's go to the next slide. And Faith will start the introductions. Faith will introduce herself.
Janine and I are from the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Design on the computer science team. And I'll let Janine introduce our very special guest today.
So I have a kukui nut laid to give to our special guest, Shaylin Farnsworth. She lives in Iowa, but she's at a conference in Florida right now. So we mailed her a few goodies from Hawaii. So I'm going to give her a kukui nut lei. It symbolizes enlightenment, I think, and maybe Faith can add in. But here you go. Here you go, Shaylin.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And can you introduce yourself also, Shaylin?
Yes, my name is Shaylin Farnsworth. As Janine said, I am an educator in Iowa, and I work for the News Literacy Project, but I'm coming to you live from Florida. I'm at FETC, Technology Education Conference, and I am just happy to join you for this learning event to kick off National News Literacy Week.
All right, so here is our agenda. Thank you, Shaylin. So happy to have you here. And so here's our agenda. And again, we'll keep putting it into the chat, and every link that you need hopefully should be in there. If it's not, I'll add it to that. So if you click on, where it says agenda, it'll take you to the document. And I also added Shaylin's information sheet, and she has like a treasure resources. So everything you need should be there. And there's a screenshot of the agenda. All right, next slide. So real quickly, we just want to, ask you just to kind of get a feel for where you get your news from. Where do you get your news from? Can you type that in the chat? And where do you think your students get their news from? Or where do they get their news from? I have a 24-year-old son, and he used to read the newspaper and watch the news, and now he gets all his information from YouTube.
Yes.
And I'm not sure it's the best information, but yeah. So for answering the chat, and I see John says local broadcast news, Christy says Apple News, Google Feed, Anna says NPR, Jessica says Civil Beat, HPR, Twitter sometimes, NPR, and Tech says students use social media. Carrie says Biz TV. Pam says local news, online Hawaii News Now. Fern says local broadcast, mobile device, local print. Sherry Fitzgerald says HPR, NPR, Civil Beat, multiple sources says Alfred. Freddie uses Reddit. Yep, Fern uses that too. Harry says NPR, PBS NewsHour. Luana, social media, Apple News, news apps, Mouth Radio, says Fern. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your great participation. Here are my news sources. And one of my news sources, every morning I look at Civil Beat Online. Okay, so, and there was a great article on Sunday written by Shaylin. So next slide.
Thank you. And Janine, we've spoke about my children. I have an 8th grade daughter, and my son is graduating this year. He's a senior in high school, and I will tell you, they get most of their information and news, quote unquote, from TikTok. They are constantly on TikTok and YouTube. They are always on those platforms.
Okay, well. This slide is just for the people who are not live with us. I'm going to type into our presentation slides all of the different responses we got, so people will know what was happening. If you watch the recording, you can't see what's happening in the chat. So it'll be in the presentation slides. So next slide. So there's a link to the wonderful article that Shaylin wrote, and it was in Civil Beat on Sunday. So there's a link. We can solve the misinformation crisis with news literacy. And she also, mentioned Naho Pena'ao, which is like the framework, for everything we do in the Hawaii Department of Education. And we focus on number 3, computer science, a lot of the time. The connection to news literacy is, putting out quality work, making sure, it's accurate and fair, and, you've looked at various sources, so it's not just, something that you just pull out of thin air. So focusing on quality of work and all of the other dispositions of Naho Pena'ao is the underlying foundation for what we do. Okay, next slide. And I just want to point out that we are the computer science team, and we do have some standards dealing with digital citizenship. So we did put out this flyer, and we're going to put out an updated version soon. But I just want to focus in on the third component, which is we are critical thinkers and leaders. And if you can read the wording on top, it says news and media literacy, which is what we're going to focus on today. And so, it's exploring different sides of a story, discussing fact versus opinion, choosing a variety of sources, etc. And that is my niece there in the picture. I'm just so proud of her.
Oh,
Okay, so anyway.
that's wonderful. I did not know that, Janine.
Yeah, that is I said, we need a local high school student. So there we go. Got my niece to volunteer. So anyway, that's the connection between computer science, digital citizenship, and news and information, or news and media literacy. Okay, next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to Shaylin now, and she will give us a wealth of great information and see how good we are at spotting misinformation.
Well, thank you so much, and I am honored to be here. I have been working with Janine and Faith and the rest of the computer science learning team for a couple of years now, and excited that Janine approached me to kick off National News Literacy Week with this opportunity to speak with everyone. I'm still surprised by those people who are unfamiliar with the News Literacy Project, so I would love to know in the chat if you've ever heard of NLP before, or if this is brand new information to you. What surprises me is when I was a former classroom teacher, back in 2009 is when I was first introduced to NLP. My students had ubiquitous technology at their fingertips. They were looking for reliable sources, didn't understand algorithms, everything you just spoke about with that critical thinking and media literacy standard that you're referencing, the healthy skepticism. And what I realized was they could not discern facts from falsehoods. Fast forward my career to now, and I work for the News Literacy Project. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, which means everything we do for teachers and students, and now also the general public, is completely free. So we have programs, we have resources, so many different supports to make sure that your students can discern facts from falsehoods, understand algorithms, how to be a digital citizen on the internet, and making sure that they have reliable, responsible sources. As you can see, there is our mission and our vision. We believe that news literacy is essential for students to understand, so they can not only be advocates for themselves and for others, but it also helps their personal, professional, academic lives. So that's a little bit about our organization. And like I said, we were started in 2008 by Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Ellen Miller, who is still our CEO today. And our focus is on providing educators and students across the nation those programs and resources. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today. As Janine said, this is National News Literacy Week. It is an annual event, and this week underscores the vital role of news literacy in democracy. And so we thought, what a more perfect way to kick off our event with Hawaii than to support National News Literacy Week. So this is a short video PSA about helping stop the flood of misinformation.
We're being flooded with false information. The more we mindlessly share, the more misinformation threatens us and puts our democracy at risk. But together, we can help protect our communities before it's too late. It's time to check our sources and verify our facts. Let's care before we share.
Like I said, this is our National News Literacy Week. It's an annual event that happens each year at the end of January, and I'm thrilled to be joining you today. And we do actually, on our staff, we're fully remote, have two connections. Mike Webb, who Janine has met in a previous meeting, used to actually work for Civil Beat there on the island, along with our graphic designer, Anna. So she has joined another meeting and met both Faith and Janine, and she is actually from Hawaii herself. So lots of ties, and we're thrilled to be here and supporting your efforts in the classroom. Along with all of our resources and programs, we have excellent infographics, and this is our newest one. Our focus this week is on, like I said, combating misinformation. This is a great place to start, not only with your students, but also with your families, sharing all of our public resources with them as well. Has so many great things on this infographic talking about misinformation, everything from why people share it to the types of misinformation. Oftentimes it gets classified as fake news, which has lost any sort of meaning because it's become a catch-all phrase. But I want to focus on these red flags because we could spend hours on this infographic. So we're just going to take one portion of it. These red flags, and I know as you read through this, you have seen this before. I think most recently on Facebook, my sister and I try to do a good job policing my mother, but she is constantly resharing post on Facebook that says, I know nobody will report this, but, or did you hear tomorrow Facebook is going to take over your account and post all of your pictures, repost this long paragraph to stop Facebook from doing this. How many people have seen that on their feed? Another one that I constantly see is let that sink in, especially when it's talking about mis and disinformation about the pandemic and vaccinations. So these red flags are a great place to start with students when they are consuming all of this information online. Like I said, I have not only a wealth of experience in the classroom, but I have children myself in middle school and high school, and they constantly bring information that they see on TikTok and other social platforms that usually have one of these red flags. And so this is a great place to start with your students. Have them recognize these red flags and know that when they see these, they should probably stop, pause, and check out their source to make sure it's not spreading mis or disinformation. Let me know in the chat if you've seen any of these red flags before. I'm going to pause. Janine, let me know. Has anybody seen
Hey,
these red flags before?
Shaylin, you're giving them time to think. Did you mention the difference between misinformation and disinformation? Because I didn't know what the difference was until I went to one of your News Literacy Project webinars, and it's like, oh,
I didn't go into detail, but I did kind of gloss over it, talking about the types. But I think it is an extremely important point that you bring up, Janine. Misinformation is stuff that is untrue. Disinformation is untrue, but shared purposefully to harm. And so that is the major difference. Misinformation could be something that's shared unknowingly. It's incorrect. There was no ill will intent, but disinformation is done so knowing that it is incorrect, and
okay.
it's done so with ill or malice motives behind
Okay.
it. Great
So
one.
Lynn, here's what's in the chat because you can't see the chat. So I'm just going back. Fern said she's heard of News Literacy Project and she appreciates it as a tool for teaching critical thinking and sorting through uninfo. That's another term that I like, uninfo. And then
Yes.
people have said they've seen the ad, they love the PSA, super important message. John Lum said he's seen some of these red flags, I think. And Carrie Souza says, yep, definitely seen a couple of these phrases, especially the media won't report this. They won't report it. Okay,
They
and
will
you've
not
seen
report
them
it.
in the Facebook, Instagram feed. Misinfo sort of mistakenly sent out. That's what Fern says.
Yeah, so that is definitely a great place to start with students. That is a recognizable red flag. Nobody's going to believe this. No one's reporting this. So those red flags are a great access point because they're so universally used on multiple platforms in disinformation, which we just spoke about. So that is a great entry point to talk with students when understanding facts from falsehoods with information that they've read online. Very few students understand the difference between sponsored contents, paid promotions, algorithms, and what happens is they use those old methods that we were taught. I'm thinking about the CRAP checklist that I learned in college years ago, 20 plus years ago, on teaching students to find reliable sources. And what we have realized is that no longer works because instead of diving deep into a source, they should read laterally. The deeper they go, those algorithms push them further down that rabbit hole. So that is an extremely important point. I always like to share these TikToks off of our news collection on our Informable app. I think it's another great entry point. After they notice those red flags, it's time for students to understand what is the primary purpose of this information. And so I have this collection of TikToks. As Janine said, you have access to the slides, so feel free to use these with your families, with students in your classroom. But this shows you the relevancy and the accuracy of the information that we share in all of our resources, including Checkology, our online platform. Again, everything's completely free. So I want you to take a moment, watch this TikTok, and I want you to think, is this an ad or not? And how do I know? Is this an ad or not? And how do I know? And put it in the chat.
The best and worst acne products. This is an absolute beast when it comes to treating acne. Your skin is not dirty, so scrubbing will actually make it worse. Benzoyl peroxide is one of the best ingredients to treat acne.
All right, what do you think? Ad or not? Here's the text blown up. What do they think, Janine? Ad or not?
Anna says not.
Good one. Yes, that is correct. I always start with this. This is actually a product review. Derm Doctor is one of those verified accounts. There's a blue check mark. And I start with this one because everyone's like, is that an ad or not? But this one actually does a great job letting you know if it's an ad. And I always pair it with this next one. All right. So think, is this an ad or not? I pair it with this one.
The new CeraVe Hydrating Cream to Foam Cleanser. CeraVe got a new cleanser. Of course, I had to try it out. And I've been raving about this one for months. First, ignore the fact that I'm filming in my kitchen. The lighting is just much better here. I love this one because it starts out as a cream consistency, and then with the addition of water, it quickly turns into a foam. It's one of the few products that leaves my skin feeling clean without overly drying or restricting my skin. Please tell me you understand the struggle. Plus, it has ceramides that help to restore my skin barrier. No secret, I love this. 10 out of 10 Derm Doctor recommended.
So that's a great pairing. Again, the Derm Doctor is a very recognizable account on TikTok. You'll see it has a verified check mark, which is a great thing to notice with student. He also does a great job letting you know right away with that hashtag ad. So this is an ad. He's also a great content creator. So he intermixes ads, sponsored content with his own, like the product review. So this is a great pairing. All right, here's the next one. I want you to ask yourself, is this news or opinion, and how do I know? News or opinion, and how do I know?
They went into somebody's yard.
All right, what do we think? News or opinion, and how do we know? News or opinion, and how do we know?
John says news. Anyone else? News or opinion? John says nothing opinionated about it. Okay, I'm going to put myself out there. I think it's news. Anna says it's news.
It is news. Why this one throws people off is because people question, is it newsworthy? So yes, this is news. We know it's a reputable source, ABC News. It has a verified check mark. But a lot of people wonder, is this really newsworthy or
Well,
not? We
yeah.
do have a great lesson on Checkology about that.
Yeah. And you
Okay,
kind of,
and,
I was just trying to check
Carrie
for
said
the,
news. Alfred, Freddie said, yeah.
to see if there was just reporting on
Go ahead,
events that
Freddie.
actually happened, right? And that's what I was just trying to see if it was news or not giving opinions, like trying to see if it's offering opinions and whatnot, or is it actually offering description of events that actually happened. So that's what
Yeah.
I was trying to.
Yep, you nailed it. Those events did happen. They were sharing the events as they unfolded. And it is news. It's not opinion. But people wonder, oftentimes it throws them off about, is this newsworthy? And so that's a great lesson to bring up. Here's another one. I like to pair these two together: news or opinion, and how do I know? And I'm getting the spinning wheel here, Janine. Let me stop this and restart it. We will see if it goes here.
Do you want to turn your video off? Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Sometimes it helps.
Let me see here. And now I'm in a spinning wheel here. Let me see here one more time. Well, I'm not going to waste time on this one. That one is a TikTok, and it shows a definite opinion. It's about a vegan account, and they use such words as messed up, save the cows, animal rights, animal cruelty. And so again, it's a nice pairing. They both deal with cows, but that one is definitely opinion because of the language used within the TikTok and also within the text. All right, last one that I'm sharing with you. This one I want you to ask yourself, does this present reliable evidence or not? Reliable evidence or not?
We got everything I would do, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it.
All right, so that was a quick one. There is no text to enlarge, but what do you think? Does that present reliable evidence or not?
All right, so they say not.
Great. So we don't know actually what's in the boxes, if this plane is going to Wuhan, China or not. It could be, but there's no credible evidence within this TikTok. Even the account itself is not verified. So we are unsure if that is evidence to support that it is actually traveling to Wuhan, China with medical supplies. So great job. So remember, to help stop that spread of misinformation, teaching students to pause, be aware of your emotions, and do a quick check. Thinking about primary purpose, any red flags, and the type of information that they are reading. Like I said, all of our resources and programs for educators are completely free. They are all current. They teach critical thinking skills because we are nonpartisan in something we are extremely proud of. Checkology Virtual Classroom, that is our platform that houses over a dozen lessons. Everything from understanding the zones of information, which is a great place to start, info zones. I told Janine about that lesson. Everything to conspiratorial thinking. So what draws people down those rabbit holes? The SIFT is our weekly newsletter. It collects all of the myths and disinformation from the previous week, puts it in a newsletter for you, includes discussion questions, extended resources for your students to explore. As a fantastic resource for educators in this ever-changing information landscape. We have a suite of professional learning, educator resource library, and an online community found off of our website underneath the educator tab. Again, this is National News Literacy Week. So thrilled to be here with you all. We have lots of events coming up. The one tomorrow is actually going to be with Jay McTighe and his UBD. So be sure to check that out. It is a webinar, and we're giving away 10 of his books, along with a news literacy camp on Thursday. So lots of great events to help fill your toolbox with resources and tools to help fight mis and disinformation. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. I know that was a quick run through, but I'm thrilled to be here with everyone and see if there's any questions.
And by the way, thank you, Shaylin. Super busy week for you, and you're at a conference in Florida, so really appreciate you taking
Yes.
this. And you'll be back at 3 o'clock this afternoon, yes?
Yes, thank you so much, and have a great night.
And she has to drop off for a meeting. So if you have any questions,
Yeah, send them to Janine and
Yeah.
Faith, and we will.
Send them in the chat or email us.
Together.
and they're saying they love everything.
Yay!
Excellent
Thank
resources.
you. Thank you.
But
Bye,
so
everyone.
Shaylin has to drop off, but we have a couple more things real quickly in the last few minutes. So just wanted to let you know we did cover the fourth core concept in computer science, impacts of computing. Okay, next slide. And there's our progression chart. And if you look on the back side, there's impacts of computing. And we found a few standards that may relate to what we're doing today. There we go. I'm not going to read them to you, but you can see that this is related to computer science. Okay, so there's one for elementary, one for middle school, one for high school. And there are connections to other content areas, and there's some links there. Okay, I should make that slide nicer, but here's social studies connections, real strong connection to social studies, looking at distinguishing between fact and opinion, credibility of sources, et cetera, et cetera. So all good stuff related to what was discussed today. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to Faith real quickly to share the ebook that we normally do at each session.
So this is from our statewide ebook collection, Fact versus Fiction. It's written by Jennifer Lagarde, who is a former librarian, and actually she might still be a librarian, but also public speaker, and her partner, Darren Hudgens. And they wrote the book because they feel that it's so important for all of us to teach our students the skills to discern fiction from fact. And that's a fundamental skill of citizenry. So the book includes tools and resources to help you with your lessons that students can use to help figure out what is, fact checked or what is reliable sources of information. So the next slide just shares how to log into the statewide collection and borrow this or any other book that interests you. So Janine will go over door prizes.
Sorry, muted. We always do a door prize. So because we're out of time, or if someone can tell us real quickly who has the most letters in common with the name Shaylin, our special guest today, you will be the winner of a CS News Literacy prize pack. And if you look on the next slide, those are some of the resources. Oh, go back one, please.
Sorry.
Those are some of the resources you may find in a package that I mailed to you if you are the winner. If your name is the closest, first name is closest with the most letters in common with Shaylin. Pamela. Okay, we'll double check that and we'll let you know if you're the winner. Might be Pamela. And then please fill out our feedback form if you can. We do look at your feedback and we use it to make our sessions better. Hopefully you enjoyed this session, and we really thank you for your participation. I'm putting the feedback form into the chat. I think that's it. Fern. Oh, maybe we have a tie.
Ooh.
No, wait. F. Shaylin. Oh, are we doing first name and last name?
I think you said first name, but we can be flexible.
Yeah. Like this pic. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for your participation. It's 10 o'clock. And if you want to stick around for a few minutes, we'll be here. But if you have to hop off, we understand. It's busy, busy, busy. So I'm going to stop the recording.
Thanks,
First.
everybody. So nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us.